The salt-laced breeze whipped through the open-air dining pavilion of Whispering Pines Resort, carrying the distant crash of waves that Savannah had long ago learned to tune out like white noise in her grief. She balanced a tray of iced teas and fresh oysters on one hip, her smile a practice mask for the sunburned tourists who never saw the cracks beneath, when her world shattered in the space of a single glance across the crowded terrace. There, laughing under the shade of a palm-fringed cabana, sat Elena, the woman she'd buried in a rain-soaked cemetery 2 years prior, her hand entwined with that of a striking brunette who leaned in too close, their fingers tracing lazy circles on sun-warmed skin. Savannah's knees buckled, the tray tipping precariously as a gasp clawed its way up her throat, raw and unbidden. Elena looked exactly as she had that last morning before the accident, vibrant, alive, her dark curls catching the light like polished mahogany, those hazel eyes sparkling with the same mischief that had once unraveled Savannah's defenses. But this wasn't a ghost. Ghosts didn't sip rose or let strangers' lips brush their collarbone. The brunette, tall, elegant, mid-30s with a cascade of raven hair and a diamond necklace that screamed old money, whispered something that made Elena throw her head back in laughter, a sound that pierced Savannah like shrapnel from a life she'd clawed her way through alone. Frozen amid the clink of silverware and oblivious chatter, Savannah's mind reeled back to the night that had hollowed her out, the call from the highway patrol, the twisted wreckage of Elena's car on a fog-shrouded stretch of Pacific Coast Highway, the sterile morgue where she'd identified the body, or what was left of the woman who'd promised forever under a Carolina oak at their quiet wedding 5 years before. They'd met in this very resort, two wide-eyed 20-somethings from opposite coasts, Savannah, the earnest server from rural Georgia with dreams bigger than her tips, and Elena, the free-spirited artist from Seattle who'd washed up here sketching sunsets. Their love had bloomed fierce and unapologetic, two women defying the world's sidelong glances, building a home in a cramped apartment overlooking the dunes, where whispered vows and tangled sheets had been their rebellion. Now, as the tray slipped from her numb fingers and shattered on the teak decking, drawing startled eyes, Savannah bolted for the shadowed service alley behind the kitchen. Her chest heaved with sobs she hadn't allowed since the funeral, the kind that wrenched from the gut and left you hollowed. How could Elena be here, breathing, betraying? The resort's manager, old Mr. Hargrove, would dock her pay for the mess, but what did that matter when her heart was spilling out like the spilled tea pooling at her feet? She slumped against the weathered siding of the storage shed, the scent of hibiscus and sea brine choking her, and wondered if this was madness or the cruelest joke the universe could play on a woman who'd already paid her dues in loss. By the time her shift ended at dusk, Savannah's resolve had hardened into something sharp-edged, a blade forged in the fires of confusion and fury. She lingered in the employee lot, her faded Jeep Wrangler a faithful sentinel under the sodium glow of the lampposts, watching the cabanas empty out like husks after a storm. Elena emerged at last, arm in arm with the brunette, Lila, Savannah would later learn, her laughter echoing like a taunt across the gravel. They climbed into a sleek convertible, top down, wind tousling their hair as they sped toward the private villas lining the bluff. Savannah's hands clenched the steering wheel until her knuckles blanched, a war raging inside. Drive away and let the ghost haunt someone else, or chase the truth down like the foolhardy lover she'd always been. She chose the chase. The Jeep's engine growled to life, tires spitting sand as she tailed them at a distance, the coastal road winding like a serpent under the rising moon. Her mind raced faster than the odometer. Flashes of Elena's sketches pinned to their fridge, her fingers smudged with charcoal as she captured Savannah's profile in repose, the way she'd hum folk tunes while Savannah flipped pancakes on lazy Sundays, the quiet terror in her eyes when her conservative family had disowned her after the wedding announcement, forcing them to flee cross-country for this slice of paradise in Big Sur, California. Whispering Pines had been their sanctuary, the job Savannah kept even after Elena's death, because letting go felt like burying herself too. Now it mocked her, every wave a reminder of promises washed away. The convertible pulled into the gated enclave of Sunset Villas, and Savannah parked on the shoulder, heart pounding as she slipped through the pedestrian gate, her sneakers silent on the dew-kissed path. Villa 7 glowed like a beacon, curtains billowing in the breeze, silhouettes dancing within. She crept closer, peering through the hibiscus hedge, and there it was, Elena, silhouetted against the floor-to-ceiling windows, her dress pooling at her feet as Lila's hands roamed her bare shoulders, pulling her into a kiss that twisted the knife deeper. Savannah's vision blurred with hot tears, betrayal blooming black and thorny in her chest. She turned to flee, but her foot snapped a dry branch, crack, like gunfire in the night. The door flew open, and Elena stepped out, barefoot on the flagstones, her face draining of color as recognition dawned. Save. The name hung between them, a fragile bridge over an abyss. Lila hovered behind, eyes wide, but Elena waved her off with a trembling hand. Go inside, love. I need a moment. Love. The word landed like a slap. Savannah straightened, wiping her face with the back of her hand, her voice emerging hoarse but steady. A moment? Try 2 years, Elena. 2 years of eulogies and empty closets, and waking up to the left side of the bed gone cold. What the hell are you doing here, alive? Elena's lips parted, but no words came at first, only a sob that mirrored Savannah's own. She reached out, fingers grazing Savannah's arm, electric as the first time they'd touched under these same stars. It's not what you think. God, save, I never wanted to hurt you. I had to disappear. For us. For you. The explanation tumbled out in whispers laced with desperation, pulling Savannah into the villa's shadowed lanai despite every instinct screaming to run. Lila retreated to the kitchen, pouring wine with averted eyes, her presence a silent accusation. Elena sank onto the wicker chaise, pulling her knees to her chest, looking every bit the vulnerable artist Savannah had fallen for. The accident, it wasn't real. I staged it. The car was totaled, yes, but I walked away with bruises and a fake ID from an old contact in the city. My family's debts. They were sharks, save. Loan sharks for my dad's bad deals, the kind that don't take no for an answer. They'd found out about us. Used it as leverage. Pay up or your little dyke daughter gets what's coming. I couldn't let them touch you. So I vanished, started over as Lena Voss, freelance illustrator for high-end resorts. This gig brought me back here, of all places. Savannah paced the tiled floor, the revelation crashing over her like the surf below. Debt? Disappearance? It explained the shadows Elena had carried in her last months, the late-night calls she dismissed as gallery drama, the sudden urge to update their wills. But not the woman inside. Waiting with glasses of Cabernet like this was a casual double date. And her? Lila? Your shield? Or just the first pretty face to fill the void you left in me? Elena's eyes flashed with pain, standing to close the distance. Lila's a client. A friend. She's helped me build this new life, legal advice mostly. Her firm's discreet. But it's not. We're not. She faltered, glancing toward the door. I thought I was protecting you by staying gone. Every day, I ached for you, save. Sketched your face until my pencil snapped. But coming back? It'd drag you into the mess. Until now, maybe I can fix it. The air thickened with unspoken hungers, the scent of jasmine and salt mingling with the faint tang of betrayal. Savannah wanted to scream, to shove Elena away, but her body betrayed her, leaning into the familiar curve of her palm against her cheek. Fix it? You died, Elena. I buried an empty casket with your favorite sunflowers because that's all they could give me. I grieved so hard I forgot how to breathe without you. And now you're here, playing house with someone else, while I sling oysters to strangers who tip in pity. Lila emerged then, her poise cracking just enough to reveal empathy in her sharp green eyes. Savannah, right? Elena's told me. Everything. I'm not her lover. I'm the one who helped her launder the identity, pro bono, because she reminded me of my sister, lost to the same kind of family poison. Sit. Please. This doesn't have to end in ruins. The three women circled the low glass table, wine untouched, the ocean's roar a constant underscore to the unraveling. As Elena spilled the full, sordid tale, the threats scrawled on their doorstep, the forged coroner's report, the lonely months in a Reno motel before Lila's firm connected the dots, Savannah felt the fury ebb into something raw, a grief laced with reluctant understanding. Human frailty, she'd learned in AA meetings after Elena's death, turned her to the bottle. Wasn't a sin but a scar. Yet forgiveness? That was a bridge she wasn't ready to cross, not with Lila's knowing gaze reminding her how far Elena had wandered. By midnight, Savannah rose, legs unsteady, the weight of secrets pressing like an anchor. I need time. Space. Don't follow me. Elena nodded, tears carving tracks down her face, but as Savannah reached the door, Elena's voice stopped her cold. I never stopped loving you. That hasn't changed. If there's a way back, I'll fight for it, like we always did. The drive back to her tiny bungalow above the resort was a blur of headlights and heartache, Savannah's mind a tempest of what-ifs. Sleep evaded her until dawn, when exhaustion claimed her in fitful dreams of Elena's laughter mingling with the brunettes, a trio dancing on the edge of cliffs. Work that day was torture, every clatter of dishes echoing the shatter of her tray the night before. Mr. Hargrove grumbled about the cleanup but let it slide when she confessed a family emergency, his bushy brows knitting in sympathy for the widow he'd watched fade these past years. She spotted them again at lunch service, Elena alone this time, sketching at a corner table, her pencil flying over the page with that old intensity. Their eyes met across the pavilion, a current pulling taut, and Savannah felt the hook sink deeper. After her break, she approached, tray abandoned, sliding into the seat opposite. Show me, she demanded, voice low. Elena hesitated, then turned the pad. A portrait of them both, mid-embrace on this very beach, Savannah's face alight with the joy she'd lost. It's us. Always has been. Elena's fingers brushed hers, tentative, electric. Savannah didn't pull away. The days blurred into a tentative truce, Elena lingering at the resort under the guise of her commission, illustrations for the upcoming brochure, while Lila kept a professional distance, her role reduced to emails and conference calls from her San Francisco office. Savannah found herself drawn back, conversations starting stilted over coffee in the employee lounge, thawing into reminiscences of road trips through the redwoods, stolen kisses in national park motels where no one batted an eye. But shadows lingered, Elena's flinch at sudden noises, the burner phone she checked obsessively, the way her hand trembled when recounting the night she'd driven off that foggy road, heart pounding as sirens wailed in the distance. One evening, as the sun dipped into the Pacific, painting the sky in bruised purples, Savannah led Elena to their old spot, a secluded cove below the bluffs, accessible only by a hidden trail overgrown with wild, sweet peas. They spread a blanket, the one from their honeymoon still tucked in Savannah's trunk, and unpacked a picnic of strawberries and brie, the air humming with cicadas and possibility. Remember when we thought this was forever? Savannah murmured, popping a berry between Elena's lips, the juice staining them red. I still do. Elena's reply was a whisper against her wrist, pulling her close until their foreheads touched, breaths mingling. The kiss ignited slow, tentative, a brush of lips that deepened into hunger, hands rediscovering curves and hollows like mapping a homeland long exiled. Savannah tasted salt and sweetness, grief and grace, her fingers threading through Elena's curls as they tumbled back onto the wool, the waves applauding their reunion. It was messy, fervent, a reclaiming that left them breathless and bare under the emerging stars, bodies entwined in the sand's cool embrace. But dawn brought reality's chill. Over breakfast in Elena's villa, Lila arrived unannounced, her face ashen, clutching a manila envelope. They found her, she said flatly, sliding photos across the table. Grainy shots of Elena at a farmer's market in Monterey, Time-stamped yesterday. Your father's old associates. They're circling. We need to move you, both of you, tonight. Panic flared, Elena's hand crushing Savannah's under the table. The sharks hadn't forgotten. The fake death had bought time, not absolution. Lila's firm had pulled strings for a new identity in Portland, a fresh start with gallery gigs and witness protection vibes, but it meant leaving the resort, the cove, the fragile threads they'd rewoven. Come with me, Elena pleaded, eyes beseeching. We finish this together. No more running alone. Savannah's throat tightened, the weight of choice heavy as the ocean's pull. Stay, and risk the shadows claiming them both. Go, and step into the unknown hand in hand. Memories flooded. Elena's vows in that Carolina grove, in storm or shine, my love. The way she'd shielded Savannah from her own family's Bible-thumping scorn. Love, she'd learned, wasn't a straight path but a winding coastal highway full of fog and hairpin turns. By noon, bags were packed, the Jeep loaded with essentials and Elena's sketchbooks. Lila drove point in her sedan, scouting the route north, while Savannah and Elena followed, windows down, wind whipping their hair into a shared halo. They talked the miles away, fears voiced, dreams dusted off, laughter punctuating the silences like punctuation in a long-overdue letter. As the sun climbed, Elena sketched idly on a napkin, two women in a convertible, horizon endless, titled Second Chances. The first sign of trouble came at a rest stop near Santa Cruz, a black SUV idling too long, tinted windows scanning the lot. Lila's text buzzed, abort. Circle back. Heart hammering, Savannah floored it, Elena gripping the dash, her free hand laced with Savannah's. They veered onto a side road, tires screeching through eucalyptus groves, the SUV's roar closing in like a predator's growl. Faster. Elena urged, but Savannah knew these backroads, her years at the resort mapping every shortcut and overlook. She gunned it toward a fire road, gravel flying, the Jeep bouncing over ruts as branches clawed the sides. The SUV faltered, too sleek for the terrain, but not before a side mirror shattered against a low branch, eliciting a triumphant whoop from Elena. They lost them in a maze of vineyards, emerging onto Highway 101 breathless and alive, Lila rendezvousing at a roadside diner an hour later. Close one, she admitted over greasy fries, her cool facade cracking into a grin. But we're clear. Portland's waiting. The escape forged them anew, fear transmuting to fire. That night in a no-tell-motel off the interstate, with Lila bunking next door, Savannah and Elena shed their clothes and pretenses, making love with the urgency of the hunted, slow explorations giving way to fevered claims, whispers of mine, etched into skin. In the afterglow, tangled in cheap sheets, Elena traced Savannah's collarbone. I thought losing you was the price of safety. But you're my compass, save. Always. Portland welcomed them with autumn rain and anonymous apartments, Elena's new alias blending into the artsy Pearl District scene. Savannah found work at a bistro, tips modest but steady, the routine grounding her as Elena's commissions trickled in, posters for queer film festivals, murals for women's shelters. Lila visited monthly, her friendship a quiet anchor, her own story unfolding in fits, a sister lost to conversion therapy, a career built on righting familial wrongs. No romance lingered there. Lila's heart, it turned out, beat for a barista back in the Bay, a soft-spoken NB with tattoos of Audre Lorde quotes. Winter deepened their roots. Holiday lights strung across their studio, Elena's sketches evolving from solitary figures to shared portraits, Savannah laughing in a snow-dusted park, their hands clasped against a backdrop of evergreens. But peace was tentative, anonymous calls still prickled, echoes of the past. One sleet-lashed night, as they huddled under quilts watching Carol, Elena's voice broke the spell. I staged my death to save you, but I died too. Seeing you grieve. It haunts me more than any debt collector. Savannah pulled her close, lips brushing her temple. We both did. But look at us reborn. stronger. It was human truth, raw and redemptive. Love's not a fairy tale but a forge, hammering fragility into fortitude. Spring brought bloom and breakthrough. Elena's Big Break, a gallery show in the city, themed Vanished Loves, drew crowds, critics praising the visceral authenticity of pieces that veiled their saga in metaphor. Savannah stood beside her at the opening, fingers intertwined, fielding questions with a shy smile. "My muse," Elena called her, and the word landed like absolution. Yet climax brewed in summer's heat. A letter arrived, postmarked Seattle. Elena's mother, frail now, seeking amends. "Your father's gone. The debts died with him. Come home, if you can forgive." Elena trembled reading it aloud. Old wounds reopening. Savannah held her through the sobs, knowing this was the final gauntlet, confrontation or closure. They drove south, Lila's jet waiting at a private airstrip, a gesture of unwavering alliance. The family home loomed unchanged, a Victorian sentinel on a bluff, waves gnashing below like unresolved rage. Elena's mother, silver-haired and shrunken, met them at the door, eyes rimmed red. No accusations flew. Instead, a halting confession, the debts born of desperation, the homophobia a shield for her own regrets. "I failed you both," she whispered, handing over a box of Elena's childhood drawings, yellowed but cherished. Forgiveness didn't come easy. Tears, raised voices, silences heavy as fog. But in the garden where Elena had first sketched a woman's face from a magazine, defying her father's scorn, mother and daughter embraced, Savannah witnessing the mending. "Humanity's in the breaking and rebuilding," she murmured later, as they walked the shore, pebbles crunching underfoot. Back in Portland, the gallery sold out, Elena's work a beacon for others navigating loss. Lila proposed at her firm's holiday party, ring simple as her love, and Savannah officiated via video, tears blurring the screen. Their own recommitment came quietly on the Cove's anniversary. No rings, just vows renewed under the moon, Elena's sketchpad capturing the moment eternal. Years folded like waves, adoption agency interview, a toddler's giggles filling their home, Elena's book deal, illustrations paired with Savannah's essays on grief's alchemy, community panels where they shared scars turned stories, empowering women to love without apology. The resort faded to fond memory, Whispering Pines a chapter closed, but its lessons lingered, love's capacity to resurrect, to endure the tempests. In the end, as they watched their daughter chase fireflies in the backyard, Savannah leaned into Elena's side, the weight of survival sweet. "We made it," she breathed. Elena smiled, that old mischief alight. "We always will."